Wag dyan. That's traitorousness to the Republic. That's not just betrayal of public trust. Pwede pa nating i-consider na high crimes yan. I mean, who is he working for? Para sa bayan ba siya? Para sa atin ba siya? He's the President of the Republic. He's supposed to be protecting us, protecting our rights. Ang AFP, ayon dun sa Article 2, no, is the protector of the people and of the state. And I always say this, bakit hiniwala yung people dun sa state? Ang Estado kasi may mga elemento yan, territory, sovereignty, government, and people. So normally you would say protector of the state kasi andun na yung people. But the constitutional provision says protector of the people and of the state. Ibig sabihin may mga pagkakataon na kalaban ng people yung Estado and usually represented by government. So kung ang gobyerno po ang nag-o-oppress o naglalagay sa mga tao sa peligro, ang AFP po ang tanging organisasyon o ahensya nagkikitna dyan para protektahan ang taong bayan. Wala po kasing standards na nakaset sa ating saligang batas. Wala rin po. The only experience we can draw from is yung reason kung bakit that exists in the first place. That protection clause, the protector clause that we call, ay nabuhay yan ng 1986, nung EDSA Revolution, na nakikita natin na ang mismong military ang gumitna. Mayroong mga puwersa sa loob ng gobyernong Marcos Sr. at the time na gusto bombahin na ang mga taong nagmamasa up doon. May mga pumunta na tangke and eventually yung mga tangke na yon tumalikod sa mga tao, humarap sa kalaban. So this is where the protector clause was born, when the military made a decision. Hindi na sila sumunod sa chain of command, ngunit pinili nila na protektahan yung ultimate power of kasi 'di ba the power of government is drawn from the people. So yun po ang prinotektahan ng military. So that is the only precedent we can draw from. Of reasonableness. Right now, even the heartbeat, they're not even sure about that one. So, again, by any standard, this has gone off the rails already. And I don't know who's going to survive at the end of this, whose career is going to survive at the end of this.
Attorney, kaya ba nila tinaon sa very long weekend yung operation na to so that the KOJC legal team will have limited legal remedies to take kasi sarado yung mga korte?
Well, it only delays it eh. For example, tignan mo, anong araw na ngayon? Sunday na. Ang long weekend, it ends after tomorrow, no? But Tuesday may pasok na uli. Sunday na po, wala pa rin silang nahahanap. I think that kind of plan would have worked kung Sabado pa lang nahanap na nila. Then there would be a delay. Hindi tayo makafile ng petition for habeas corpus, hindi ka makafile ng anything like that. So it's usually sa habeas corpus kasi madalian yon. But if kung yun ang inaano nila, yun yung strategiya nila, the courts always have a system for that. Parating meron po 24/7, meron tatanggap dyan ng petition for issuance of writ of habeas corpus. Whether that's in the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeals, or the RTCs, meron po yan. So I don't think that really was the point. I think the reason it was set for a long weekend is mahirap magtawag ng mga tao. But if they could have done it in secret, kaya lang they don't know the meaning of subtlety in this case. If yung tinataon nila na hindi masyadong maraming tao dahil baka nga nasa bakasyonan yung iba. So dito sa sineserve na warrant, isa lang po yung complainant. Okay, so, well, yeah, that's unusual. Alam mo yung bakit unusual yan? Nakikita natin that the number of state forces that they're using, the number of law enforcers na ginagamit nila, 2,000, more or less? Parang hindi ko mentionate. Kasi usually, nire-reserva natin yung ganyang klaseng puwersa para dun sa mga may state interest na yung high state interest. Like, this is a national security. The state is in danger. This was actually a case filed by a private complainant, di ba? Hindi involved ang Estado dito. This does not involve national security. This does not involve, a wartime offense. It is not about treason. It's not espionage. It is not something where the state must react to protect itself. So, I find it highly unusual na gagamit sila ng ganito kalaking puwersa para sa, well, iilan na akusado at dun sa nature ng complaint. Hindi natin binabaliwala yung reklamo ng private complainant. Hindi rin natin binabaliwala yung possibility nga that there is, yung karapatan nung nagrereklamo. Pero this is overkill. We've handled previous cases before of this. We've handled cases where there's an actual murderer. I'm sorry for the use of the word, no, but I've not seen a reaction of this kind. Ang arresting teams that we've seen before in the service of warrants of arrest for known violators, yung criminals, yung heinous crimes dito, you're lucky if you get a police force of about 20. Pero dito, in the thousands, what is the state interest that they're protecting here? Ano talaga ang mensahe dito? Bakit ganyang karami? Pero yung kaso, hindi siya commensurate. In fact, a long time ago, this kind of complaint would have been considered a private crime. So, yun lang yung mga involved doon. Of course, the law will still have to be obeyed, will still be subject to a warrant of arrest. But really, yung ganitong reactions, I've seen this only in cases of, let's say, coup d'etat. Yung mga ganyan, rebellion where ang dami-daming involved na inaaresto o marami may encounter. But Sir Ibi was right. This seems to be unprecedented, ganito kalaki. Yung pag-serve ng warrant of arrest kay Erap siguro, yun, warranted yun. Kasi you're arresting a president. Pero dito, ganun ba kataas yung tingin nila kay yung danger na nakikita nila kay Pastor? It's really unusual.
Ma'am, itong tanong ko lang kung may habol ba yung KOJC doon sa patuloy na pagsisinungaling nitong si General Torre, kasi may mga interview siya sa media na hindi naman po tunay na nangyayari sa loob. Like for example, sinabi niya sa isang interview sa isang radyo na meron daw isang KOJC member na nagpasabog ng fire extinguisher doon sa isang pulis. Tapos hindi lang daw nila nahabol kasi tumakbo. Sa dinami-dami ba naman nila doon sa loob ng compound at ayaw nilang magpalabas ng mga nandun sa loob, imposible hindi man nila nahabol po yun. So itong patuloy na pagsisinungaling ni General Torre, may habol po bang KOJC dito, ma'am?
Meron. You can actually go for a civil or administrative case. Go after his badge. Kasi hindi po kasama sa obligasyon ng PNP yan. Assuming that everything to be true, yun yung natin. Our opinion will be based on that everything you said is correct and true. So, hindi po niya obligasyon yan. That is not part of his mandate. There are instances where the police must release information to mislead in order to obtain, para may mahuli. So, halimbawa, mag-release kang information pretending that the police are searching elsewhere para may mahuli sila. Merong at large na mahuhuli sila. We get that. Pero yung ganitong klaseng pagsisinungaling, kung wala pong public purpose ito, then yes, meron po kayong habol. Possibly a case for damages and definitely a case for an administrative case. I know that it seems that it might be difficult, but still, I think you should go for his badge.
Tsaka hanggang ngayon po, ma'am, hindi pa nila ina-admit kasi may mga namatay na po, ma'am eh. Hanggang ngayon, hindi pa rin nila inaako yung, imbis na dapat sana mag-sorry dahil nga sa kanilang ginagawang operation since June 10 pa, yung mga tao doon, grabe na yung, kumbaga, pressure, trauma, tapos yung iba naman yung, alam mo yun, yung paghagis nila ng tear gas, tapos yun nga, may namatay na, ayaw pa nilang aminin yung ginagawa nilang mga kalokohan. Ito po ba, ma'am, may pa rin po ba ito sa, may natin sa ating mga attorney, sa ating mga abogado ng KOJC po, ma'am?
Alam niyo, sino ba yung nagsabi na these are the times that try men's souls? So, yung mga ganitong pangyayari, we expect them. Kumbaga, they have acted in an adversarial manner and therefore, wag na natin i-expect na magiging mabait sila, magiging mabuti, or that they would even act in a civilized manner. Expect na natin yung pinakamalala. Dahil yan na po yung ginagawa nila eh. They are doing the worst, then expect that things will just keep getting worse. So the more I think that first of all, what should be done is to protect themselves. The KOJC members must protect themselves, and tama naman po yung ginagawa nila to document everything that is being done.
Hi, ma'am. Ma'am, paano yun? Siyempre, sa dami po ng mga issue ngayon, the only parang recourse na magagawa ng KOJC ay dumulog sa mga korte. May mga nagsasabi daw na pag nababanggit po yung salitang writ of amparo, para po sa kabatiran po natin mga kababayan, ano po ba ang ibig sabihin nito at ano po ang magiging epekto kung pagbibigyan po ng korte yung petisyon na yon?
Okay. Ang writ of amparo po, this is what we call the great writ of freedom, a great writ of protection. Para mas precise tayo. Maaari po itong gamitin for any actions by the state or even private persons kapag ito ay nakakaapekto na ng karapatan. Halimbawa, yung mga surveillance. Maaari po kayong mag-seek ng writ of amparo to prevent or to stop the surveillance by state forces kung unwarranted ito. So ito, may experience na ako dyan personally. So you can also ask for the, kunwari may intel services na sinusurveillance ka, pero wala ka namang ginawa. Hindi ka naman suspect in any crime. Wala ka pa pong ginagawang masama or anything like that, pero may surveillance that's being conducted on you. So you can ask for the protection of the writ of amparo, the issuance of a writ of amparo to stop them from violating your rights to privacy, as well as yung destruction of your dossier. So, pwede rin po yun. So, dito sa Pilipinas, ang writ of amparo, you can seek it for yung mga ganito, yung harassment by state forces. Yung sunod-sunod, so yung surveillance, yung nakatayo yung mga pulis sa labas, na chine-check nila sino yung pumapasok, sino yung lumalabas, kung sino yung mga guests, tapos nagma-mass up sila doon, yung nag-jogging sila sa harap ng KOJC compound. At ito, yung repeated conduct of supposed service of a warrant of arrest. Maaari din po idulog ito sa Korte Suprema and ask for the issuance of a writ of amparo. So, it is the recourse when you're seeking to protect your constitutional rights and even in anticipation of the violation of those rights. So, halimbawa, yung surveillance. Surveillance kasi, kung kunwari, ang right to privacy kasi yan, may zones of protection. So, inside your house, absolute yung privacy nyo. So, kung lalagay sila ng mga listening devices and so on, you can ask for the writ of amparo. But if they're just watching you in a public place, medyo mahihirapan yun. Pero dito, yun nga, if you seek the issuance of a writ of amparo, all surveillance and also the destruction of your dossier is possible. Ang AFP, ayon dun sa Article 2, is the protector of the people and of the state. And I always say this, bakit hiniwalay yung people dun sa state? Ang Estado kasi may mga elemento yan, territory, sovereignty, government, and people. So normally you would say protector of the state kasi andun na yung people. But the constitutional provision says protector of the people and of the state. Ibig sabihin, may mga pagkakataon na kalaban ng people yung Estado and usually represented by government. So kung ang gobyerno po ang nag-o-oppress o naglalagay sa mga tao sa peligro, ang AFP po ang tanging organisasyon o ahensya nagkikitna dyan para protektahan ang taong bayan. Wala po kasing standards na nakaset sa ating saligang batas. Wala rin po. The only experience we can draw from is yung reason kung bakit that exists in the first place. That protection clause, the protector clause that we call, ay nabuhay yan ng 1986, nung EDSA Revolution, na nakikita natin na ang mismong military ang gumitna. Mayroong mga puwersa sa loob ng gobyernong Marcos Sr. at the time na gusto bombahin na ang mga taong nagmamass up doon. May mga pumunta na tangke and eventually yung mga tangke na yon tumalikod sa mga tao, humarap sa kalaban. So this is where the protector clause was born, when the military made a decision. Hindi na sila sumunod sa chain of command, ngunit pinili nila na protektahan yung ultimate power of kasi 'di ba the power of government is drawn from the people. So, yun po ang prinotektahan ng military. So, that is the only precedent we can draw from. So, in the instance na ang taong bayan po ang na-oppress o sila po ay nilalagay sa peligro ng ating gobyerno, then there is no longer any state to protect. The government is acting apart from the state, from the identity of the state. Kinakalaban nila yung mga tao. And therefore, it becomes now an obligation. Ano yung standard ngayon? Yung standard noon, nag-mass up yung mga tao sa EDSA. So, it's possible that if the protector clause, the military should execute itong protector clause, they will look towards history. Yun nga lang, because these times are different. Nung panahon ng 1986, mabagal ang balita. Ngayon, mas mabilis pa sa alas 4, iniisip pa lang ng isang government official, nire-report na po sa social media. So now, things could happen faster. Ang kailangan na lang is determine kung anong standard ang isiset ng military. Will they stick to the 1986 standard or gagawa sila ng bago? Kasi sa panahon ngayon, even yung reactions ng gobyerno pwedeng mabilis din, much faster than 1986. Ngayon, pinaplano mo pa lang, yung mga tao magpaplano pa lang, pupunta pa lang, magpupulong, which is their right under the Constitution, di ba? Yung magtipon-tipon and to petition for redress of grievances, kung piniprevent ng gobyerno something like that, does the military think that this is already a standard to protect the people? Kasi yan po ang nakikita natin nangyayari. They've done it before sa mga maisog rallies. They will do it again. So is it just the physical? So yung initial na basis, yung kaya nga nabuhay yung protector clauses from 1986. So nagmamass up na yung mga tao, dumating ang AFP, ostensibly under the orders ng gobyerno, no? Ang purpose nila originally was to quell the resistance para patigilin itong yung massing up ng mga tao, pauwiin sila. Pero instead, pagdating ng mga military doon, nag-defect sila to the side of the people. So yan yung historical basis niya. On the other hand, maaari rin mag-set ng bagong standard ang military natin ngayon. Pwede nilang i-determine na ang pagpoprotekta nila sa atin includes yung pagpoprotekta nila ng ating kalayaan at mga karapatan. Halimbawa, ang karapatan magpulong-pulong, magtipon-tipon, and to petition for redress of grievances. Nasa saligang batas yan. In short, yung pag-conduct ng rallies, ito, yung pagpupunta natin sa isang lugar para sama-sama tayong mag-manifest ng ating galit at gigil sa mga sa mismanagement ng ating bayan, sa lack of leadership, sa refusal to conduct a drug test. 'Di ba yung mga yung pagtitigil ng impormasyon, leaving the people in the dark. Tapos yung pag-mismanage ng pondo ng ating gobyerno. Lahat ng mga ito maaari naman natin idulog. We can take it to the streets and demand for government to change. Pero bakit nila pinipigilan yung pagtitipo na yon? Posibleng iset ng military ang standard na pag bina-violate ang karapatan natin, hindi ba kailangan din nila tayong protektahan? Because first, they'll go for yung karapatan na magtipon-tipon. Ibabaliwala nila yan. Tapos susunod, yung karapatan magsalita. Ibabaliwala na nila yan. O sisirain nila yung karapatan natin magganyan. Ang susunod, baka yung karapatan na natin huminga. Baka too late na kung doon pa lang sila gagalaw, because once you start tampering with the constitutional rights, edi sunod-sunod na yun. Kung babaliwalain mo yung isa, ang dami mo na pwedeng gawin, ang dami mo nang mababaliwala. If you don't care about our rights, then you don't care about other things like our life. Right now, parang ang feeling ng mga tao, lalong-lalo na those who are critical, is that this government is just using the people as an excuse to just keep on keeping on. Doon lang sila, forever na sila sa leadership nila. Nakakalasing kasi yun, pardon the expression. Nakaka-addict po kasi ang power. And if you have an addictive personality, you're not going to let this go. And that is a very dangerous thing. That thing by itself already endangers the people. So the military could or should actually consider something like that before things get worse. So, nakikiramay, by the way, kami dun sa mga sa KOJC, sa pamilya ng namatayan, at saka dun sa iba na mga nasaktan, no? And who are continually experiencing itong panggigipit, panghaharas at pananakot ng PNP, whether intended or not. nakikiramay din po kami dun sa rank and file ng mga pulis na alam natin na sumusunod lang sila sa orders. Alam natin na there is no obligation, di ba, to follow an illegal order, to obey an illegal order. Pero pag ikaw naman yung nakaupo doon o nakatayo doon at ikaw ay nasa receiving end, mahirap mag-isip mag-weigh ka pa, legal ba to, hindi ba to legal, and in the meantime, binabaston ka ng ng mga officers mo. So yes, we feel for you, yung mga nasa rank and file. We have very little sympathy dun sa mga in charge, yung mga tao na actually nag-uutos, no? So ano yung pwede nilang harapin? Yung mga tao na nag-uutos, definitely merong mga administrative cases yan. And think and strongly encourage kung hindi pa po nagpa-file ang KOJC, but I believe magpa-file po sila ng mga administrative cases. Ano yung administrative? Ang worst na na penalty, ang pinakamabigat na penalty in an administrative case is yung pag matatanggal ka sa inyong trabaho, dismissal. So yes, the KOJC can actually seek the dismissal of General Torre on the ground that yung ginagawa niya ay hindi na po simple service of a warrant of arrest, kundi paggigipit dun sa mga kasapi ng KOJC. Hindi na sila yung parang collateral damage. Hindi po kasi kung collateral damage sila, they went in, they conducted the search for the accused, tapos lumabas sila. Hindi, yung pag-restrain sa kanila, yung hindi sila pinapalabas. Pwede yung arbitrary detention, which is also subject of a criminal complaint. Pwedeng criminal case yun. Yung hindi pinapapasok yung mga taong nakatira doon sa lugar. Ano yun? Grave coercion. Yung pananakot. Pwede rin pagkaso yun, criminal case din yun. At lahat ng mga criminal cases na ito ay maaaring may kaakibat na administrative case. So marami actually na pwede. In addition to that, pwede pa silang kasuhan ng civil cases for damages. Kasi di ba meron silang mga sinisira doon ng compound. At meron pa silang planong sirain pa uli, konkreto daw, kasi may nadidetect daw, na heartbeat. O sige, pag buksan nila yan at nagkamali sila, yung pala, water pump, ang naririnig, let's say something like that. Yung sinira nila, yung sinira nila, maaari silang maging managot para dun sa mga damages na yan. Not just the damages, the actual damages, pero ito yung mga pananakot, yung mga panggigipit and all that, pwede rin pong mag-seek ng danyos para doon. 'Di ba? Maliwanag kapag may ganito enforcement, dapat identifiable yung mga pulis. Nandiyan yung mga nameplate nila, andyan yung badge nila, andyan yung mga insignia nila. That's the reason kung bakit may uniforms nga Pero yun, unang-una, of course liable din yung mga hindi assuming na pulis sila, bakit naka-civilian sila? Kung ma-explain nila at justifiable, walang problema, but still yung commander nila will be liable. Next, paano kung foreigners yung mga yan?
Yes.
Diba? Yan yung pinakamalaking katanungan. Alam niyo kung sino ang liable sa ganyan? Yung presidente. Because he is the architect of foreign policy. Makakapasok at makakaparticipate lang sa ganyang klaseng operasyon kung may knowledge ng presidente. National security issue yan. Ngayon, kung wala siyang alam, di ba, alam na natin, weak pala talaga. Pero kung mayroon siyang alam, may liability siya. Kasi ibig sabihin, wini-waive niya yung sovereignty natin for that particular matter. So ano ba tayo? Benta na ba sa US? And this can be, this is an impeachable offense, betrayal of public trust yan. This is outright traitorousness to the Republic. Gumagamit ka ng inaalaw mo ang puwersa ng ibang bayan para lapastanganin ang karapatan ng ating mga mamamayan. So ito, President, di ba parang nagtawag ka ng bully na galing sa ibang bansa para gulpihin yung mga taong bayan dito. So ano ang tawag dyan? That's traitorousness to the Republic. That's not just betrayal of public trust. Pwede pa nating i-consider na high crimes yan. I mean, who is he working for? Para sa bayan ba siya? Para sa atin ba siya? He's the President of the Republic. He's supposed to be protecting us, protecting our rights. Isa pa, di ba walang extradition na hearing si Pastor Kibuloy? Paano kung dumating yung mga kasi merong umiikot, di ba, online? I'm not saying totoo, but what if it is true? assuming that it is true, yung sinasabi nila na nandito ang mga puwersa ng ibang bayan para dakipin si Pastor Kibuloy at dalhin sa, a third party nation, kumbaga, yung fear niya of extraordinary rendition, that's betrayal also. Kasi meron tayong proseso Kung sakasakaling kailangan ng US mapanagot ang isang mamamayan natin doon sa kanilang bansa, then they file for extradition. May extradition treaty tayo with the United States. Bakit wala tayong naririnig na may kaso na ganon? Ibig mo sabihin, ang presidente, inaalaw niya ang isang citizen ng Pilipinas, ite-turn over niya to a foreign power para lapastanganin ang karapatan niya. The president should be our protector. He's not just our leader, but the reason we put him as the leader is so that maprotektahan niya tayo. He can work for the public interest. That is betrayal of the highest sort kung ganyan po ang gagawin niya. So, in the end, a lot of this ends on the doorstep of the president.
Yeah. So, actually, 2 days na, magdi 3 days na yung, yung siege ngayon dyan sa Davao. And hanggang ngayon, wala pa ring statement itong si Bangag Jr.
And in fact, what does that mean? It means, okay lang sa kanya. Kasi di ba kung ayaw niya to, he'll come out strong. Sasabihin niya, the PNP will be strongly sanctioned. We have summoned General Torre, etc. We will suspend him. Mga ganyan ka dapat kung galit na galit ka, kung sa tingin mo hindi ka sang-ayan dun sa ginagawa. Or if hindi mo style yon, patawag mo, but you will end the siege. Hindi, tuloy-tuloy pa rin. His silence is compliance. It means he agrees. He's part of the conspiracy.
So, yun yung nakakalungkot, Actually, naniniwala ka ba yung mga ginagawa ngayon sa paggigipit sa KOJC ay just to cover up dito sa ating pulburon, sa kanyang pulboronic activity? Yung authenticated nga na siya ay gumagamit ng ipinagbabawal na pulburon o white powder substance.
Kailangan nilang pagtakpan yung pulburon issue na yan kasi ang ultimate goal nila, di ba, is charter change and stay forever and ever and ever. So, yan po yung So, yung pulburon issue is yung pinakamalaking roadblock. Kailangan nila mabasag yung narrative na yun. As long as hindi siya nagpapadrug test, hindi mababasag yun. So, ano yung next best thing? Distract. Ano yung best distraction? Attack. Attack yung mga other roadblocks niya, other potential leaders. Mahirap kasi yung pag magagaling, may mga leaders talaga na nasa labas, na in opposition to him because he himself isn't a very good one. So, olats na olats kagad. Yung pulburon ang pinakamalaking block doon sa sa kanilang ultimate goal na magtagal sila sa pwesto. Apparently, para sa kanila, hindi enough ang 6 years. So, alam nyo ba, ang balita ay i-approve ng COMELEC or in-approve na ng COMELEC ang pagtuloy ng People's Initiative at pag-referendum nito kasabay ng 2025 elections. So, nakikita natin po dito na ayan na po, patungo na tayo uli sa tinatawag nating term extensions, pagbabago ng saligang batas to make it easier for them to continue in power. Syempre, pag marami kumalat ang balita tungkol sa sa pulburon at yung refusal pa rin to take the drug test, ito po ay magiging malaking roadblock. Yung credibility niya ay nasisira. So, ano yung paraan para makalimutan ng mga tao yun? Kasi as long as he doesn't take the drug test, wala yung credibility. So, he's just looking for people who will look worse than him. So kaya dinidemonize nila, ayan si Pastor Kibuloy, demonize nila si Inday Sara, demonize nila si dating Pangulo because these people are better leaders than him. At kaya nilang mag-command, kaya nilang magpagalaw ng tao. And that's the definition of power. When you can ask people to do something, you can move them. Itong si mga nasa gobyerno, kaya lang sila merong power is because they get people to move because of money. Ayan, meron another round na naman ng ayuda. So, anong nangyayari dito? Busy sila for the 2025 elections kasi nga mahalaga para sa kanila yung referendum. Mahalaga sa kanila. Once na nado sila dun sa 2025 elections, they'll start on term extensions. And then they'll start on the charter change. So, that's why yun nga, hanggang ngayon, they'll keep doing things like this to us. Para sa kanila, baliwala yung paglalabag ng ating karapatan. And in fact, pag binago nila yung saligang batas, pustahan tayo kasama dyan yung pagdidiminish ng ating mga karapatan. Posible yan, yung gagawin nilang mahirap magpulong-pulong, yung mahirap magsalita. And it's not even easy up to now. Pero they'll make it worse and it will continue to get worse. So talagang we have to address this issue. If they violate the rights of the KOJC members, they'll violate all our rights. And they're already doing that. The only order of the court is the warrant of arrest. So yun na ngayon dapat ginaganap nila, di ba? They will execute the warrant of arrest. Ngayon, ang tanong, reasonable pa ba itong execution nila? Yung nagdi-detain sila ng mga tao, meron pa silang mga pinosasan, di ba? Yung nakatali, meron silang mga hindi pinapapasok. Yung pagpuputol ng kuryente, ng mga utilities, ito po ba ay for the purpose of executing the warrant? Parang this is beyond reason. This has gone into the realm of insanity at maaari na rin to. In fact, I'm sure that the lawyers of KOJC ay pupunta sa hukuman to stop the insanity. Pero ito, ang nakakagulat, well, hindi masyadong nakakagulat, is yung arrogance ni General Torre na bablock-upan siya ng kanyang mga superiors. So, yun po talaga yung
Attorney Trixie, Ms.
Yung pagwawasak po ng property, ang purpose niyan is kung sa tingin nila nandun yung tao na aarestuhin nila. Remember, isa lang ang purpose nila that they can justify is yung service ng warrant of arrest. So kung maninira sila simply para makapasok yung mga troops, hindi yun po katanggap-tanggap. Kasi unang-una, magja-justify din sila ng ganyang karaming ng puwersa. So, again, reasonable pa po ba ito sa kanilang service of a warrant of arrest? Sila po ba ay naghihinala na nandyan yung aarestuhin nila sa loob ng portion na yan ng compound? And bakit hindi nila magagawa yon by just simply entering? Bakit hindi pa kanina inintay nilang magdasal ang mga tao? So yung mga ganyan, yung pagdadasal din po kasi merong mga tinatawag tayong crimes that involve yung panggugulo doon sa religious worship. Ngayon, kung sabihin nila it's in the service of a warrant of arrest, kailangan i-justify nila na makakatakas yung inaaresto nila dahil nagdadasal ang mga tao. So, again, the standard here is reasonableness. Alam nyo, sa totoo lang, ganito ang nangyayari dyan. They don't know kung nasaan yung mga inaaresto nila. Nag-fishing sila, naghahanap sila. They had no intel, they have no information. Nagbabakasakali sila na nandyan yung mga aaresto nila, kiber sa karapatan ng mga tao dyan sa loob. So again, gaya ng sinasabi natin dito, it's failure of intelligence. Of both kinds of intelligence. And may karahasan ng pinapakita.
Ma'am.
Correct. Kailangan people have to speak up. Kasi nga, pag nangyayari ito sa ibang tao, hindi malayo nangyayari sa atin. Yung mga speakers ng maisog, di ba, kaliwat kanan, kinakasuhan din. Si former President Duterte, meron din mga pressures on him. VP Inday Sara, merong banta na siya po ay impeach. Not that she cares, no? But ganyan po ang mga pangyayari ngayon. Mayroon pang, tayo, may mga banta na rin sa atin. And now, it is KOJC. So, kailan ito titigil? Namimihasa ang gobyerno sa kanilang paggagamit ng dahas o paggagamit ng sandata ng walang katarungan. The injustice is their weapon right now. And the only thing na makakapagsalag sa ginagawa ng gobyerno ay ang boses ng tao. So, kailangan talaga manawagan that we must stand up every time somebody's rights are violated. At ito, kitang-kita naman din po. And the people are confused. Alam nyo, this could have been done in a very, in an orderly manner, yung walang takutan and so on. Pero pinili nila ang paraan ng dahas. Pinili nila yung isang paraan para manakot. Double purpose Bukod sa hinahanap nila at nag-execute sila ng warrant dito, nananakot sila. Parang pinapakita nila na ito ang sandata, ito ang ginagamit ng gobyerno, ito ang power ng gobyerno. Parang dati, nung tinanggalan nila ng franchise ang SMNI, natakot na lahat ng ibang mga broadcast media. Alam nila na posibleng mangyari sa kanila, matanggalan sila ng prangkisa and they can lose their business. Ito po ay panibagong example ang nilalagay nila. Hindi kayo sumunod, may pakiusap ang US sa amin, gusto namin ipamigay or whatever, pagbigyan sila. Ito ang mangyayari sa inyo, huwag kayong mag-o-oppose. So again, when is this going to end? Namimihasa na ang administrasyon. People have to stand up and we have to speak.
Ma'am, before you go,
Yeah.
Miss Maharlika, last na lang bago si Attorney Trixie umalis. Ma'am, naalala mo yung debate sa SMNI when this president was
Yes.
asked, are you a Machiavellian? Di ba?
Machiavellian.
Machiavellian. So ano to, especially the dark side, the dark Machiavellian, parang, parang ito na yun eh. Di ba, ma'am?
Well, para sa akin kasi pag Machiavellian ka, it requires some kind of intelligence. Pero,
Ba't naiba mo yung mukha mo? So, intelligence.
No, kasi this is pure naked force. Well, there's no intelligence behind this. Pananakot. They're using, instead of a civilized strategy, they're using a club. So this is not Machiavellian. This does not involve any kind of deep thinking or strategy. They're just in there to scare people. Yan, pinapasok nila yung compound, tinatakot nila yung mga tao. Before this, di ba, they were detaining people, nagsara sila ng mga gates, ayaw nilang magpapasok. And so, what's that? That's just force. There's no thinking behind it. Meron silang pinipilit, ayaw niyong bigay ito sa akin. Sige, I will come in and I will take it. Kibera ko sa mga karapatan ninyo. And that's what's happening now. Ito pa, parang may forever, Ilang oras na yung service ng warrant of arrest? May batas pa ba? May reasonableness pa ba dito? No, I don't think that there's any Machiavellian even thinking behind this. They're just here to scare people. And the scary thing is that if people do not stand up and speak up, it's going to work. This show of force, sa batas meron ganyan. Alam niyo dun sa VAUSI law, merong provision doon na yung pag sinaktan mo yung family pet, that's considered VAUSI. Kasi pag nakita ng bata na sinaktan mo yung pet, para siyang nararamdaman niya yung pain. Para siyang proxy. The pet is the proxy. The KOJC here is the proxy for the Filipino people. Ito po ang kaya nilang gawin sa atin lahat. Ito po ang example. And they plan to instill fear in us. Hindi yung respect for the law, but fear of their authoritarianism. So, this happens today and we don't speak up. This is going to happen again and again and again.